Alright, I want to do a quick video on the MSD installation, the MSD ignition box, and hopefully you can learn from some of my mistakes, and I can tell you, you know, some of the issues I had, and hopefully you can get a better idea of what you're going to deal with. Theoretically, it's a very simple install, okay? If you know where all your wires are, and you know the system pretty well. But if you're coming from straight ignorance, then it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, okay? So, first difficulty I had, and I was looking online everywhere, I couldn't figure it out, which one was my ignition wire and which one was my tack wire, okay? So, you got two wires going to your coil, the positive side of the coil. One's your ignition, one's your tack, okay, in this particular car. I didn't know which one was which, okay. In theory, they say that the green wire is your tack and the red wire is your ignition. Makes sense, okay. I didn't have a green wire on here. I had a red and green, and I had a red. So I was already scratching my head. You can't really, if you get those mixed up, the thing's not going to work right, so you have to figure that out. And what I did to figure that out is some simple troubleshooting. You get a test light, and you put the key to the run position, whichever one is putting out power. That's your ignition wire. It's very simple. Okay, once that was figured out, then what you do, you go to the, here's the other difficult part. You go to the you got the red and black wire, the positive and negative coming off your distributor, okay? Now, the positive coming off your distributor needs to be spliced into your ignition wire, okay? So that's another reason why it's important to know which one is which. Now, what they give you, let me show you real quick. In the kit, in the MSD kit, they give you these. Well, they give you one of these. Okay, I do not like these at all. Okay, I think that they can be a very weak link in your wiring system. If you use it just to for a quick hookup, okay, fine. But I don't like them as a permanent as a permanent solution. Okay, so what I did was I got, and don't mind my unorganized toolbox because it's awful. I got one of these, okay, and it's a butt connector which is larger on one end than the other, okay. Looks like a little bottle. This is great. So what I did was I took the two wires that needed to be spliced together. I put them into the butt connector, crushed those down. Then I got another wire, and then you have to get a 4 amp wire, and it'll tell you a 16 gauge, okay? And I hooked that up to another connector and connected it to the red wire to the MSD box, okay? So that was the first difficult part, all right? The other thing that you're going to have to do that you might not feel comfortable with is you're going to have to drill. So I drilled into my fender, and a lot of people don't like doing this, but, you know, oh well, there's holes all over the car. What's another 4? So you drill into that, and they tell you which drill bit to use. I think it's 3/16. It's very simple. Okay, it's nothing really to worry about. All right, everything else is plug and play, okay? You have to decide if you have a magnetic pickup, tack distributor or not, and if you do, that depends on which wires you use. But if you read the instructions, it's pretty simple, okay? Just slowly read them over and over and over again until you understand what it's saying, and then hook everything up, all right? So, the only wires that go to your coil are the orange and black wires from the MSD box, okay? And it'll tell you all this. Those are the only thing that you ever connect to your coil ever. Okay, so you you leave that, you put that on, and then just set it the way it is, and you're done. Okay. The other thing that I want to point out, and this drives me nuts, and I just got done fixing it. Okay, well, one was that spliced wire. I think I was having a bad connection at that splice, so I had to get that butt connector and splice this wire up correctly. It's much more secure. The other thing is that the car ran for a few days, and then all of a sudden it stopped running. I parked it in the garage, and then I went to go start it back up, and it would not start. It was cranking over, and I was testing everything. I did the spark test that they tell you to do on the for the MSD, and nothing seemed to work. So now I'm scratching my head. I don't know what's wrong with this car. So then I called up MSD and I said, listen, the car was running fine. I installed the box, ran, and then after 2 days it stopped running. So I'm going to point right to the MSD wiring and say either I wired something up wrong, which wouldn't make sense because it already ran, so I couldn't have wired anything up wrong, or the box went bad. But all the tests I did, all the diagnostic tests they tell you to do, it passed all those tests. So now I'm at a loss. Here's what the tech told me that's not in the instructions that's very, very important, okay? You need to have at least 10 volts coming out of your battery in order for that box to work. Otherwise, it will not start, okay? And that's where I was having a problem. My battery was low and I didn't know it because the car was cranking over strong. And that is because I have the PMGR starter on there, and so they don't need much voltage to start. So I don't know what those starters need, but it's not a typical stock starter where they need more voltage. So it was deceiving me. So the thing was cranking and cranking and cranking, but I wasn't getting spark, and I just didn't know what was going on. The coil was giving me plenty of spark. When I bench tested it, everything seemed to be working right. All the components, my distributor is brand new. The spark plugs are brand new. Everything's new in the car. So I was just dumbfounded. Charged the battery up, started just fine. So that was it. It was a low voltage situation. So if you ever have that problem, make sure your battery is fully charged. Otherwise, this thing is not going to work on you, okay? So I hope that helps, and good luck with your project.